Hi, so today I've got an SSL channel strip which is out for repair, so we can just go through the signal flow of it and have a look at it. Starting at the top, we have the group routing matrix, so this allows us to assign any of the channels out to any of our group outputs. A couple of these are pulled out, just this channel is just from a small sidecar as opposed to a full console. This is a 6000 series channel, so we've got 3 mix buses as opposed to 2 on a 4000. We also have a pan pot, which allows us to route between, pan between, so I could route the signal to 9 and 10, and then pan between those 2 outputs. Below that we have the input section. So on this console we have 3 inputs. We have line, mic, which we can flip between, and subgroup. So subgroup allows us to take the signal from the group output assigned to this channel. So if this was channel 10 and I had routed loads of signals on other channels to 10, I could go to here, press this in, and they would all appear on this channel strip. So allowing us to subgroup within the console. Below that we have a phase reverse and a pad switch. On the 4000 this is a 48 volt phantom power button, but on this console we can activate phantom power by switching in the mic knob, pull it out to turn off phantom power. Below that we've got dynamics. So on this console we have dynamics and gating. So we have a link button to allow us to link to the channel beside it for stereo, a ratio control, a threshold control, and a release control. We also have the ability to increase the attack time by pulling out the release control. Below that we have our gate. So if I press this in, we have a gate. When it's up, it's an expander. So we can set our range, our threshold, and our release. Once again, if we want a super fast release or attack time, we can pull out the release control. This will show you your range and the gate opening, and this will show you your gain reduction. Below that, we can choose where the dynamic section is. So it can either be on the channel input, directly after the preamp, or the channel output, so after the EQ. We can also switch it into the monitor pad. Below that we have our filters. So we have a high pass and a low pass. We can split these so that they appear straight after the pre, or we can leave them attached to the entire EQ section. So for the EQ we have high frequency shelf, fully parametric high mid with a multiplier button, which allows us to multiply the frequency. So if I set it to 1K, it'll become 3K, 3K will become 9K, allowing us to have more flexibility with our frequency selection. Below that we've got a low mid, which is fully parametric, and then a low frequency shelf. We have a divides by button for our low mid frequency. Once again, if I set that to 300 Hz, it will now be 100 Hz, etc. In the middle of the EQ, we have our inserts. So to activate the insert, I just press in, and I can also choose where it is. So it can be after the EQ, or if I press the pre button, it'll be before the EQ. We can also choose where the EQ is in the signal flow, so I can have it on the channel or in the monitor section, or I can use the EQ for the sidechain of the dynamics. Below that we have our aux sends, so we have a stereo auxiliary send with a pan and volume. To switch it in, we press in the volume. We can assign that to the large fader or to the small fader, and we can set it as pre or post. We also have another 4 auxiliaries. Once again, switch them in by pressing down the volume, turn it up, assign it to the small fader or large, pre or post. Below this we have our group trim. So if this is channel 10, we can trim the output of group output 10. So if you had, say, assigned 3 or 4 channels to group output 10 and you saw it clipping on the output or on the multi-track input, you could just go to channel 10 and trim the output of that group. If we want to bypass the group routing matrix completely, we just press the direct button, and then if this is channel 10 that we're on, it will just go straight to group output 10. We can also choose where the signal comes from before it goes out. So normally the signal goes from the small fader to the group output, but if we press float, the signal will go from the large fader. Ready group and ready tape allow us to choose what we hear coming back in on our monitor section. So ready group will let us hear what's coming out of that group before it goes to our multitrack, and ready tape will allow us to hear the output of the tape machine. So we can hear it before tape and hear it after tape. This button can be assigned to ARM tracks on the multitrack. And then below that we have our small fader. So here's our small fader, and we have a solo and cut for a small fader. We can also choose where the small fader gets its signal. So we can get it from the channel input, which means straight from the preamp, or the channel output, which means after the long fader. So the signal will travel the whole way through the channel, out to the long fader, and then to our small fader, and out to the group routing. If we press both buttons at the same time, the signal is taken from after the EQ. So it'll come into the preamp and to the EQ and then go to our small fader. Below that we have controls for the large fader, so we can choose which mix bus it's going to. We have a pan, we have a solo and a cut. And then below that we would actually have our large fader. So this is the signal flow of your standard SSL channel. Thanks.